Don't hurt me.
Happening and it freaks me out.
Oh, it's stone gas, man.
Hello and welcome to episode 17 of Region Free. How is everybody tonight? Am I coming through loud and clear? Yes, I am. All right, let's see. Who have we got with us so far tonight? Gary, Sean, Richard. There's Stone in the chat. What's up, Stone? Keith, Captain Halloween, El Horror Deuterino. Hello. And there is DJ Donnelly. Hey, David. Before we get the ball rolling here, I would like to direct everyone to our Patreon. We've just posted a brand new commentary over on our Patreon for Eyes of a Stranger, featuring Stone and B-Movie Mike. There's also hours upon hours of exclusive content over on our Patreon. So if you want to support the show a little bit more, that link is in the description. Go over and check it out. All right, so without further ado, joining me tonight from the Flesh Wound Features YouTube channel, Dan Shine. What's up, man?
What's up, Piz? I'm excited for the show.
Yeah. How have you been?
I've been doing well, been keeping busy. It's hot here, so like very hot here, so recovering from a hike.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. I need to get out and start being a little bit more active myself too. Very, very hot and humid today. And then yesterday it rained all day. We're getting our April showers in June here in Kentucky.
Yeah. It's swampy here, so it's not fun, but I make myself.
It's good. That's good. Also with me tonight, Horror Gal Susan. What's up, Susan?
Hey, not too much. Just again, we're having kind of a heat wave coming through here in LA, and so I'm sitting here blasting the AC. Hopefully, it doesn't interfere. And I'm looking forward to the show. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, always a pleasure to have you, Susan. And I don't hear a thing. So you've got a good AC unit. Nice and quiet. Nice. All right, very cool. Also with me tonight is the legend and the legendary B-Movie Mike. What's up, Mike?
Hey, what's up, man? How's it going?
How frigid is it down there in Florida?
I think it was 102 today.
Okay.
It was nice though. Felt pretty good.
Jacket weather down there, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, you got to have your sweats and your jacket on when you go out in that weather. It's just a little chilly.
A little chilly there. When it gets about 105, 106, then you put the short sleeve shirt on. Yeah.
If you're feeling adventurous, yeah.
There you go. There you go. But how you been, Mike?
Doing great. I love the heat. Like Bane was born in the darkness and molded by it. I'm the same with the hot weather. Bring it. Yeah.
Very cool. Very, very cool. Also with me tonight, coming from Christian Hanna's abode, but it's not Christian Hanna. Jay the Stingray. What's up, Stingray? Oh, you're muted.
We can dub you.
There you go.
Glad to be here.
Does Christian know that you're in his house right now?
I found a key under the mat. And, helping myself to all of his Blu-rays.
People don't know this, but Jay's a ninja.
Yes.
Why do people keep putting their extra keys under the doormat? That's the first place you look, right?
Yeah.
Mind those shelves, Jay. Mind those shelves.
Yeah, they're coming down tonight, Christian. Great to tell you, they're coming down again.
Maybe you should have a hard hat on.
Oh, I think we have to dub you now, Piz.
Oh, yeah, Piz, we don't hear you.
Oh, that's weird.
Okay, now's the part where we all say what we think he's saying. You gotta keep it interesting,
Expletives and something.
That's all it is.
And he's trying to keep a straight face while he does it so that we won't think that he's just like cussing.
I don't think YouTube algorithms read lips.
Wait, we heard you for a second.
Okay.
We heard you
I
say,
think I'm back.
there you are.
I'm back now. Oh, good. I don't even remember what I was going to say. But yeah. All right, cool. We've got one more person from the Obnoxious and Anonymous YouTube channel. Cameron. What's up, Cameron?
Hey, it's 60 degrees here in Monterey, California. It's usually about 60, 65 year round. And, Jay right here has given me a great idea. We should all swap backgrounds of each other's places. And, Jay, if you get inspired, just go back there and start ripping all his slips.
Yeah.
Honestly, depending on what that Chucky doll back there is, if that's like their Trick or Treat Studios one, that thing's like hundreds of bucks, Stingray. So grab that and run. But yeah, good to have you all with me tonight to talk about some movies. I see Sugar Ray says he needs a B-Movie Mike autograph. Those are $40 each. Send the money to me. And
there's no picture though. It's just an autograph.
It's just a picture. It's just a piece of paper like this with B-Movie Micro.
If Tippy Hendren charged $100 for a picture and autograph, B-Movie Mike at least is twice that much.
At least, yeah. At least.
I mean, he's never accused Hitchcock of touching him inappropriately, so.
I don't believe that alone. I don't believe that.
He probably would have though, or at least he would have tried and slapped his little pork chop hand away from me.
Let's see. We've got Jess Graham in the chat. Dave from New Jersey. What's up, Dave? Brian Trash is here also. How's it going, everybody? So, who's been back to the theater?
I have.
So Stingray and Dan. Anybody else? I know Mike. I know you've done a lot of the drive-ins. Have you been back to an actual multiplex yet?
No, I was kind of busy with two shows on Monday, and then I opted for the HBO Max experience with Conjuring. It was just easier, and cheaper.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
and
which I always appreciate.
Uh-huh.
And you may have liked it a bit more since you didn't have to pay ticket prices and sit down and travel there and all that. So. Yeah,
well, I was talking to Stone about that when we were doing the commentary afterward. To to go to a theater, I mean, they're driving $7 each to get in. You get a large pizza for $8. You know, the movie doesn't have to be that great to have a good time. But you go to the movie theater, you're paying between $14 and $18, depending on if it's IMAX or if it's the comfy seats or whatever, just to get in the door for one person. And you're going to buy the $12, $14 popcorn and the $10. So you're $50 in for one person. And if the movie's horrible on top of it, that's just going to make it even worse. So
What's interesting
they
is
don't really release enough movies that I find to be worth that investment.
also,
So I don't know if I'll ever go back to the straight theater again, just because the buy-in's so high.
It is.
You know, I can rent it. Even about, you know, Vudu charges like $19.99 to rent a new release that's still in theaters. I find that to be ridiculous, but compared to the $50 investment of going to the movie theater and I still get to be at home, it makes it seem a little more affordable.
also, I think that
This time,
sorry, I was just gonna say, when you go to a movie theater and you pay those kind of prices, you never walk out. But like, you know, if your buddy used to sneak you in for free and you go see a movie, you'd always walk out all the time because you didn't pay anything for it. But when you're paying $50, you're like, dang, I'm gonna get I'm gonna stay until the last credit rolls.
and the movie theater experience is a shell of its former self. I mean, we don't get that. It's a very sterile environment. I mean, you might have 4 or 5 people in there looking at their phones, but there's really no audience interaction. There's nothing to add to it. You just get like a comfy seat and an expensive drink, and you know, it's kind of cool, but it's about 50% as cool as it used to be for about 3 times the price, if not more. Man,
I remember that. Yeah, like I remember back in the day watching movies in the theater where it was like that community event, being around people who were goofing off or reacting to the movie or even talking to the screen made the movie better. Because like I remember watching movies at home that I saw in the theater and thinking they were really fun and being like, this sucks because I'm sitting here watching it alone. You know what I mean? So yeah, I agree. And also I agree with you on another point, Mike. I mean, there's nothing out at the theaters that I really want to see. You know, make something that I want to go and see and put that investment into.
Yeah, and I know we're always saying, you know, support horror theatrically so it doesn't go away and all that kind of stuff. But if you support the wrong stuff, then that's all the stuff we're going to get.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to go out and support stuff that I don't want to see just because it's horror.
Right.
I think one of the answers is more indie stuff on the big screen, which I'm sure we'll touch on probably tonight with some of our topics. That's what I want to see. And some films like Relic that, you know, made a healthy profit during the pandemic. Yeah.
I heard a rumor that Troma is considering re-releasing some of their classics to theaters for a theatrical run. You know, and then maybe that's one of the benefits of the Corona lockdown is the lack of product might influence distributors and filmmakers to put their stuff out there just to try to get the eyes while they're available.
Yeah. Good way
I'd be down for a trip to see, Toxic Avenger, the original. That's about the only Troma movie I really enjoy, but a theatrical experience of that would be kind of cool.
Yeah. I could watch Terra Firma at the theater or Romeo and Juliet maybe at the theater, you know?
Yeah.
With some booze. They let me smuggle in some booze without getting to, you know.
What do you mean smuggle, Piz? Don't your theaters offer alcohol?
not the one nearest me, no.
Oh, that's sad. Now that's sad. Like, why? Especially if the movie's not that great. Like, you can just get up, go to the bar, and come back.
You expect me to watch this shit sober? Really?
I would have loved to see Hush on the big screen. I don't know whether you guys love it or hate it, but I loved it. And for the fact that, you know, she's deaf and just to see it in a theater, I don't know. I think that would have been a fun one to see in a theater experience.
What did you go and see, Dan and Stingray?
The last one was Conjuring 3 for me.
Okay.
Oh, man, I was so excited to get back to the theater. I got the D-box seats for Spiral. And it was like $70 for the tickets. And
whoa.
I was in for at least over $100 for 4 people. So
yeah, jeez.
I I still remember the days when we would get double, triple features, and sometimes a cartoon in the middle or before. Or I miss those days because I used to go at like 1 o'clock on a Saturday and stay till like 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, and then because it didn't matter which one you went to first. The next film was the one you saw, but if you came in for the second film, you could stay for the first film. So we would just stay there all day long, just eating all kinds of candy, and then walk home. It was great.
Oh yeah, me too.
Do any of you do AMC lists? Because I find I get a good value out of that. I mean, 3 movies every week for $19.99. That's the way to go. Now I do see a lot of garbage. You know, you want to justify that, so you go and see the new Amy Schumer flick, and then maybe regret it a little bit afterwards.
There is no AMC within 100 miles of my house.
Oh, are you like Cinemark, Cameron? I know that's okay. Yeah, I know that's taken.
Wasn't there one of those whatever it is where you pay in and you can watch however many movies a month with just weren't those under investigation recently?
Movie Pass. Is that
The Movie Pass, yeah.
Yeah, that's gone now.
Did they shut that down? Did the government shut that down or what? Oh, okay.
No, I think the theaters figured out a way how to do it themselves. You know, it's kind of like Netflix was making a lot of money, and then the studios found out, we could do our own streaming service and take our product back.
Man. I've got the Regal Crown Club thing, and I could see as many movies as I want, and I get good discounts on concessions and stuff. So it's like $20 a month, so you can't beat that, man.
Yeah.
So how did you end up spending $100 on Spiral then?
That was at Cinemark. That was before my Regal was open. My Regal just opened recently.
It's not the one that you have the pass for.
I have a quick question though, Jay. Since you got the D box seats for Spiral, do you get tortured in the seats? I mean, how do they make it an all-encompassing experience?
I had never experienced it before, so I was curious, and it is what it is. It's kind of fun for like 5 minutes, and it just
What they do your seats like shake or like what's the experience? Okay.
I want that William Castle showmanship if I'm paying that much. I want the buzzers under the seat. Yeah. I want some violence to be committed against me if I'm going to pay that much.
Have some fake blood spray you in the face. I mean,
there you go.
I want Samuel L. Jackson to come out and call me an MF right to my face.
Yeah, it really shakes when he says the MF, man.
I did finally see Spiral, and it had some issues, but I enjoyed it overall.
Is it better than the last couple?
You
haven't seen those?
Yeah, I think so.
And I thought Chris Rock did a fine. I know a lot of people complain about Chris Rock, like not his performance not being good. I thought his performance was fine. I thought he handled the comedic stuff really well. I thought he handled the dramatic stuff really well too. I love his opening.
Sorry.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I agree a little bit. Yeah, I love his.
So many nods to his previous films and like New Jack City and stuff. You know?
Jackson. I did love the opening speech about Forrest Gump, which is true. It's funny because it's true. And then I loved his speech about Pilates don't exist. He was telling Pilates is just women just make that up.
Yeah, I was torn because he made me laugh a lot, so I can't really criticize it. He felt a little out of place at times, but my main issue with Spiral was it was very obvious what that twist was.
Very, very obvious, yes.
Yeah. Painfully so, yes. Almost as bad as one of the traps.
Yeah.
But overall, still, I enjoyed it. I mean, it was a good night out. I didn't hate it.
Yeah. What about Conjuring 3? I know, Dan, you saw Conjuring 3. Anybody else see Conjuring 3? I know, Mike, you saw it. Okay. Thoughts on... Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I read enough reviews online that I feel like I've already seen it. Like, everyone seems to be pretty much in consensus that, like, it is the weakest of the three. And when I see people online saying the La Llorona and The Nun was better, I got that scares me.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but
I've not seen La Llorona. I have seen The Nun. This one's better than The Nun. I've not seen La Llorona.
It's by far the worst of the three, though.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah.
It's definitely the weakest of the three Conjuring films. There's no doubt about that.
I think, it was just totally devoid of mood or tension for me, and it was too pretty. like it was just too good looking. It just made me want to watch Exorcist, which they directly pay tribute to
numerous times.
And yeah, I mean, it is dead on average. There's nothing awful about it, but yeah, I just wasn't very impressed. But I do enjoy my theatrical experience, so I'll still take a bad movie. I'm happy to be back in the theater.
What do you think of it, Stingray?
So I may go check it out again.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I don't really want to just poo-poo all over it, but the only positive stuff I'm hearing from people is they like the whole Ed Lorraine love angle, and I get that. Which I mean, that really at its heart, it's like a love story, right? So I mean, that's fine for what it is, but that's not what I want out of a horror film, So
right.
I wasn't impressed.
I have a quick question. Why is it this like new trend of like, for instance, James Wan does Insidious 1 and 2 and then drops out for the third. He does Conjuring 1 and 2, drops out for the third. John Krasinski is doing A Quiet Place 1 and 2 and drops out for the third. Like if you do the second film, just do the third film, please, and then walk away. So complete your trilogy and walk away. What is this idea of doing 2 and then abandoning it for the third? And the third's terrible, always terrible.
I think they know their star's going to start to fade a little bit. Krasinski will probably direct the next Fast and Furious piece of crap, follow a similar career path as Juan. I can't blame them necessarily. I think I'd probably do the same. Just, you don't want to just be associated with that. And you're right, the third tends to suck. So,
But James Wan's done Saw, Insidious, Conjuring. I mean, people already associate him with horror anyways.
Dead Silence.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if you think about it, Conjuring 3 to me, it seemed like a movie that wanted to be like a James Wan movie. Do you know what I mean? And so maybe the whole thing is, make them, want me more, you know what I mean? Or value my work on 1 and 2 more, you know what I mean?
Well,
like to get more accolades instead of just kind of petering out into the sunset or whatever with the third one. I don't know. But I felt like it really missed him being there for it as the director.
You can really tell that he didn't have anything to do with it.
Well, from what I understand, he was involved in the pre-production of it and selected the director and went over story points. And so he was, and I don't know exactly how far he was involved with the process, but he was, at least at the beginning, gathering all the elements that would make the movie and then kind of letting the director do his thing. And I think it was the same director that did The Nun.
Lila Rona, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, this is a guy that's worked in that universe before, and I think Juan had approval over most of the elements that were in it, and I know that they went back and interviewed the actual kid that was on trial and his wife and a few of the other people that are still alive anyway, and kind of interviewed them and got their accounts of what happened, and then they went through the Warrens, stuff, and then of course they took liberties, which they always do in these based on a true story, movies. There's always a little nugget of maybe something happened, but then we're just going to tell you our version of it, Hollywood style.
Exactly, yeah.
So there's a lot of exaggeration in it that didn't actually happen, but that you expect that going into a movie. And you go into a third of any franchise, I think expectations should be kind of lowered a little bit. I mean, because very few threes blow you out of the water, except for maybe like Exorcist 3 or maybe, there's very few third and, Nightmare on Elm Street 3. That seems to be a lot of people's favorite, but few and far between when you get to the third part that is going to be, it's going to wow you. I think I enjoyed it more than most of you guys did. And basically it is because of Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga. I think they own these characters. They buy in 100%, and they're also friends outside of the movie business. So I think that friendship kind of helps with the character bonding, and they are like the backbone of this trilogy. And I think it's their performances that make this movie better than it probably should be. I think part of the weakness of this movie is that the antagonist is actually a human.
Yeah.
And then we bring in that element, but for the most part, I enjoyed it. I'd give it a pass. I mean, sure, 2's still my favorite. I would agree that this is probably the weakest of the 3. It's not that much worse than the first one to me, but 2 is definitely the benchmark for the series so far. And I can't help it. It's like, I like those 2 actors together so much that at the end, when he's putting that cursed artifact in their little room, I got like a Friday the 13th, the TV show vibe, where I was ready to go on another adventure, man. It's like, as long as those 2 guys are on board with it and they're coming back, I'll be there for Conjuring 4.
That should be their spinoff, because this is supposed to be the final movie. Do like a Friday the 13th antique store setup, but it's for different pieces in the thing. So like, you can have Patrick Wilson walk on and put a piece down, or have Vera Farmiga like dust a piece off at the beginning of the show, and then bam, you launch into here's
the story of that piece.
Exactly.
Well, the Warrens' real museum, or that room that they have, I mean,
it still
like
exists.
they could tell those stories. Yeah, because doesn't I don't know, there was a son or a daughter takes care of it now.
Yeah, the son-in-law is like the curator, and he actually has a YouTube channel, and he does like various different stories about him, and he shows off the different things, and like on Halloween they go in there, and there's Annabelle's in there and stuff. But it's a real place with real things. Whether you believe the stories behind them is irrelevant to me. I really don't care. But that's the world of fantasy horror for me. Is it doesn't really have to be actually true to be interesting. And there's a bunch of interesting stories in that room that could be made into movies with the right creative, people at the controls and the right actors in the roles. And I think, Wilson and Farmiga are definitely the leaders of that franchise as far as, what they bring to the table and anything they're in as far as those characters. Because I think they've taken those characters beyond the real people that they were and created their own versions of them that exist in this alternate reality that I find to be very interesting.
Whoever came up with the concept of having the Warrens as being the common denominator through this whole series, and we're talking about Annabelle Comes Home as well, it's a masterstroke because, I mean, Mike says the third film is usually one of the weakest, but these are all standalone stories. So it doesn't have to follow a trajectory of being a weak link, because they just have to be as good unto themselves as each one. I think what it is that, some directors know how to do it. And, they probably think they've made enough of these that it runs like a TV show anyway. Like Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga are probably on set directing themselves anyway.
Probably. I mean, the way it doesn't look like they need much direction. And I like the aspect of their relationship being kind of the core of the whole thing.
Yeah.
And the theme of this film being basically that love's not a weakness, it's a strength type of thing. And, it may seem out of place in a horror film, but I don't know. I kind of dig it, especially with those 2 actors. I think they sell it. In lesser hands, it could be cheesy as hell and unwatchable. But with them, I think they pull it off. And I like the fact that they used when the little kid's doing all the contortionist moves, that was actually a real person. They just CGI'd the face on. It's a 12-year-old girl that actually did all that in camera.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then they CGI'd the kid's face on it. So it's little touches like that that make me like they tried. Sure. And you got to understand, Juan doesn't want to be, he doesn't want to be 60 years old and putting out Conjuring 14 direct to video. He's got other things he wants to do, but this is still his baby, and he's babysitting. He may not be directly involved in the parentage anymore, but he's keeping an eye on it. So at least there's that. And I thought it looked good and it sounded good, and there was moments in it that were pretty good.
They apparently axed the after credits scene. I read somewhere, which is kind of interesting because I do kind of see this. Like everybody's going to TV now. I could see a streaming series with the Warrens. I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, maybe that's where they should go at this point.
And I mean, she did Bates Motel, so they're so good together. I mean, literally, like, the fault is with the way it was done and the material given to them, but what they did with it, I mean, if I was grading that, I'd be like, this is 10 out of 10 because they do a really, really good job. And I think they do a really good job of presenting them in a good light too, since they are kind of controversial and everything. And like you said, Mike, putting the focus on the fact that it's their relationship, because their relationship is the one thing that nobody can dispute,
Right.
as far as that's concerned too.
And I also would agree with Mike that their characterizations are not the ed and Lorraine Warren. This is a movie universe version of them.
Romanticized,
but it completely works. I mean, people have said to me, oh, well, the Warrens were frauds and this, that. I'm like, I don't really care about them in real life. In a movie universe, it is a perfect like template to base, like you said, the Friday the 13th TV series. You could go anywhere with these characters. And it would be like following Zelda Rubinstein on like several adventures after Poltergeist. I mean, that would be exciting too.
It's a film. It's not a documentary. I think some people have a problem divorcing themselves from that. It's, this is the film, like you said, the film universe version of the Warrens, which, like I said, I believe to be now owned by Wilson and Farmiga. They are now the Warrens in this universe, and the real Warrens who have passed away really have nothing more to do with it. It's just these are stories kind of based on their adventures, but they take liberties with them and dress them up and turn them into movies.
Yeah. And they're so easily, they're so good and they're so likable. I think if you remember pre-Conjuring, Ed and Lorraine Warren were looked upon like a joke. Now they've completely they've rebranded them. And their estate has got to be
huge.
Yeah, exactly. Like their kid, whoever's running it, they're doing cartwheels in a vault full of money right now. So pre The Conjuring, people were like, yeah, they're frauds, they're hucksters, this is all bull. Now it's like they're a big name in horror.
And kudos to James Wan too for moving Patrick Wilson from Insidious to The Conjuring, because he could have said, no, you're already in Insidious, I'm not going to have you in The Conjuring as well. But they did it, and it works. He's a really underrated actor.
Yeah.
I've always liked him, but he shows up in Phantom of the Opera, and I was like, okay, who's this guy? But it was his performance in Watchmen. That's what first got me. I was like, he is really good. And then he doesn't do the show-offy roles. He takes these little understated parts, and you just tend to like him, and then you're like, if he's in it, it's kind of like, oh, I'll give it a chance.
For me, it was Hard Candy. That was the first thing I saw him.
Oh yeah,
he was really good in that.
He was. That was a rough film, but yeah, I've always been a fan. He's done a lot of not very well-known movies that he's put in fantastic performances in. Am I the only one that would like to see the skeptic kind of Warren non-horror film, just the Warrens as the carnies that some people say they are? I think that would actually be kind of interesting, explore Ray Garton's experience with them, who did the novelization of Haunting in Connecticut. I'd like to see that. I think there's a fascinating story there.
Well, didn't that guy admit that they just made, the three of them just made it all up?
Yeah, Ray Garton's the one who claims that they would make fun of the people behind their backs, and it's all fiction. Now again, that's his story. I mean, none of us were there, but I'd like to see that. I think there's some humor there as well, because look, this film, Lorraine Warren, it wasn't made up. She was on murder cases, worked with the police. I mean, that's all actually true. So I don't know, I'd like to see a different take on them. Which I think could be interesting. Could be funny. I mean, you
could spin this series into that, where it's like they built up such a reputation, and then they have to fight for that reputation because all these people from past movies come back to challenge them in court or something like that. You could do all kinds of things.
Well, Lauren told me something I think would add a little something to what you guys are talking about. Apparently, at one point, Geraldo Rivera was on their case. He was going to expose. And the success he had with Al Capone's Vault, I mean, that would make a hilarious movie. I mean, if you could try to have Geraldo Rivera on their case, and and they're at the end. They're both charlatans. You know that'd be funny.
Geraldo opens Annabelle's door. I see it now.
Yeah.
And it's empty.
Rivera here at the Warren's
Hey,
house.
somebody's out to expose you. Oh, who is it? It's Geraldo Rivera. Ah,
They
fuck
should bring back Robert Downey Jr. with his Australian accent. Natural Born Killers. It's wrong.
Gale.
Yeah,
I want Annabelle to possess his mustache. That's all I have.
By the way, I got right above me right here. It's I got the Annabelle right here. I want to put her in a wooden box in the garage that says "Do not open."
Oh my God. Do it.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
Line
Let's
it with
talk-
Bible pages.
There you go. Exactly. So yeah. Let's move on from the Conjuring universe. Let's get out of that universe. Let's move into something else here. Let's talk about the once thought lost forever Romero film, The Amusement Park, which is now available on Shudder, restored and complete on Shudder. Who else has seen Amusement Park?
Is
Mike?
this
I saw it.
I
Is this
haven't seen
the-
it yet,
the-
but I want to watch it.
the 50-minute director's cut?
I believe the one I saw was 58, but 53. It may have been 53, 58. I don't remember. So it was in the 50s for sure.
You saw an extended version, I guess.
I must have.
I'm
Here's the thing with that movie. If anything, I think that movie has been really overhyped by a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
I think it's benefited, and unfortunately, has taken some flack because of George Romero's name. You say, "Oh, this is a George Romero movie," but your average George Romero fan automatically gets an idea of what they're going to expect to see, right? And then they watch this, and it's like, wait a minute, because it's a movie made by George Romero, but it's not a George Romero film.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that the way that it was kind of marketed and the way that I saw people on Twitter talking about it was like this lost classic, you know what I mean? This newly found masterpiece. It's George Romero, and like you're already way overplaying it. Like
restoration is expensive. They got to get their money back somehow.
I guess like we were talking about it in our group chat on Twitter the other day. And there were a couple people who were like, well, I've not seen it, but I really want to see it. And my response was, lower your expectations. This isn't Martin. This isn't The Crazies. This isn't Night of the Living Dead. This is a movie, it's not even a feature-length film that he was commissioned to make by a church that's all about the horrors of growing old, losing control of your body, your mind, your dignity, and becoming prey for people.
Yeah, well, people forget that the Latent Image, this was like a film he made between like Night of the Living Dead and The Crazy. So it was like 72, right around the time of There's Always Vanilla. And the Latent Image was a production company that would be hired out, commissioned to do projects for corporations and other companies. Well, you have like a Lutheran church organization, a Presbyterian church organization, and the Department of Aging in Pittsburgh wanted him to do a PSA. They hired the Latent Image to make a PSA about the horrors of aging and ageism.
Mm-hmm.
How, they're what it's like to be old and forgotten and pushed aside by society and picked on by taken advantage of and just treated poorly. And the whole point of the film was to, raise awareness for the plight of the elderly, right? And there are Romero-isms in it, and I think it was very successful in what it was, intended to be. It's intended to point out that, hey, just because somebody's 70 years old, it doesn't mean they don't deserve respect or a place in society. And and then you get the insurance companies picking them apart and taking advantage of them, and all the you see on TV all the time. You got people selling reverse mortgages and all this other crap still to this day, trying to take advantage of seniors because they have a fixed income.
Yeah,
and everybody's trying to get that last dollar away from them, and then they don't want to give them anything for it because they don't figure they're worth it. What's worse than going to your doctor and having your insurance turn you down for a procedure because they don't think you're viable at your age?
Mm-hmm.
At your age, we don't think this would be a viable procedure. Although it could extend your life by 5 years, they don't think that 5 years of your life is worth the money they would have to put up. I mean, that's what this is about. And I think from that aspect, it could be considered one of the most realistically scary things he's ever done, because the horrors of getting old is something we'll all have to face. And I think the closer you get to that age range, the more realistic and more thought-provoking, something like that is. So for what it is, I thought it was great. But it's not intended to be Martin or Day of the Dead or whatever. It was made for a purpose, and it was funny. I think it was so disturbing that it was shelved because the people that hired him to do it were afraid to show it to people because it was too effective.
Mm.
Yeah,
It's a little psychedelic too.
oh yeah.
Well,
They
it's
probably
72. I mean,
which they
people
probably
were still
weren't
they had an LSD hangover going on. They couldn't help it.
I think you can still justify it as a horror film. The hype is what I think really kills this one, because I know of several people who thought, oh, it's George Romero and it's going to be Dawn of the Dead. It's definitely not that, but Lincoln Maisel, I mean, in terms of acting, it doesn't get much better. I mean, in 50 minutes, he puts you through the emotional ringer. And I mean, the disturbing thing about this film is nothing much has changed in the last half century. I mean, this is still very much relevant to now. It's one of those movies you're not going to feel good after watching it. It does what it's supposed to do. I mean, it's a very sad, depressing piece with not a whole lot of hope the way they shoot this. And I'm sure I wish I could have been a fly on the wall when the Lutheran church representatives popped this in, and like you've got Death with a scythe in the background looming over the elderly. I mean, it's like, wow, okay, this is a little too much, George. But
how is this film discovered? I mean, I've never heard Romero mention this film as something he had done. I mean, did his wife just kind of like go through his stuff and find it? Or
I think it was just a gig. It was a paid gig by Romero, and I mean, I think he, it wasn't like something he was going to list on his filmography. It was a gig, like the industrial films that he made there, or like the commercials. It was just a commissioned gig, and
it was a PSA. That's all it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, his wife Suzanne kind of started to press him on it a little bit towards the end of his life. And if you watch it, and I think you have to watch the post panel now on YouTube. I'm not 100% on that. If you can still watch it on Shudder, they kind of go over all of that. Daniel Krauss, who helped finish his last novel, The Living Dead, is on there. Tanana Reeve who you've probably seen on other Shudder stuff. It kind of goes over the whole thing. I am very glad that this was discovered. It's probably something that would fit more as an extra for a lot of people, I think, on a Blu-ray. Yeah. It's I wouldn't go in expecting again clear horror from your mind, although again I would argue that this qualifies. It's very surreal and disturbing in a way that you certainly would not expect to get from a film commissioned by a church, of all things.
Yeah, I agree. Although some of those churches, it's all about scaring you straight to heaven. You know what I mean?
and the Lutherans are a little more relaxed than that. But anyway, it does have all the Romero. I think of all the political commentary that Romero has put into his other films. Now, this film to me was like all of that condensed without the trappings.
Yeah.
Like you take away the zombies, or you take away the vampires, or you take away the crazy people, and you just make a condensed 50-minute movie about, socio-political issues. So it's 100% him. That's what I mean. It's a film by Romero, but I wouldn't, if you sell somebody it's a Romero film, then they're going to get a different idea. But
right.
Yeah, this was what he used to pay the bills in between other films. Because this was his business, and without this, there may have not been the Crazies.
They
No?
probably should have done the panel before the premiere and just kind of talked about, this is what this is, and this is what it, was meant to be. And, it's definitely, I'm glad that it's out there. I enjoyed it. But if you're walking into that thing expecting a George Romero, a Romero film, you're probably gonna be like, what the hell is this? You know what I mean?
I think the die-hard fans of George, though, it'll be fun to check this out, because to me, Romero is a great filmmaker. I don't just view him as, he's known as the zombie guy, but I think he's just a great mind and somebody that should be celebrated. I enjoyed seeing something a little bit different from him. Had things gone a different way, who knows? He could have been, the next Martin Scorsese or something. I really do think he had a special mind and talent as a filmmaker. So I'm happy to have Amusement Park that I finally got to see it, because it's proof like he could probably do anything.
Is it better than Bruiser? That's all I want to know.
It's better than Bruiser.
Okay, good.
I don't agree.
I don't know. I like Bruiser.
I enjoyed Bruiser.
I enjoyed Bruiser a lot when I watched it the last time.
Yeah, agreed.
That one needs a Blu-ray. I think.
But it's not meant to compete with Bruiser or any of his other
I'm
feature
not
films. It's just a gig for money. It was I guess they restored it from a 16 millimeter print that were pretty damaged. It was 2 prints. One had the audio track, so they could only save the audio from one print. And then they had to he was famous for shooting lots and lots and lots of B-roll. So they were able to cover it pretty well, to piece it back together and then scan it 4K. And I guess it was quite an ordeal to restore this, which I don't blame them for hyping it up to try to get their money back.
Mhm.
But people could feel duped very easily going into this. But if you're paying for Shudder anyway and you're watching it on Shudder, I don't really understand why there would be that much outrage. It's only 50 some minutes long, and it's a piece of history, but from a filmmaker that's no longer with us. So at this point, I'd watch TV commercials that he made just to see if I could see his visual style in them. I've seen all his movies. He's not going to make any more. So now that we have to go back to this other stuff, I want to see other things he did with the latent image, just to see how he, put his style into other things that he did for money. That to me, that's interesting.
On the Criterion Carnival of Souls, they have Herc Harvey, the director. They have like an hour and a half of industrials that he made. That was a way a lot of these filmmakers made their money in between not making a film for 3 or 4 years.
And the studios, George tried. He made Monkey Shines, and he did the Dark Half. He really, really tried to fit in to the but he was just one of those guys that didn't want to compromise his integrity for dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And they kept wanting to cut it down and change it and rewrite it. And he spent the entire 90s just trying to get a project off the ground. And Land of the Dead was the other half of Day of the Dead, because he had to cut that part out because he refused to edit. They're like, well, this is going to be X-rated. We need you to cut this down to R, or we can't give you the budget. He's like, well, I'm not going to do that. So he had to make a movie with half the budget. So Land of the Dead was the leftovers of stuff he had to cut out just to be able to get Day of the Dead made. So no matter what you think of Land of the Dead, I kind of put those two together as what the full project would have been had he been allowed to do it.
The irony of that, of course, is that he spent 10 years trying to make, at the time they called it Dead Reckoning, to try to get that off the ground. Nobody would give him a chance. And then Resident Evil took off, made a lot of money. And then they came to him and they said, oh, would you like to make a zombie movie?
Yeah.
Well, he was in talks to direct the first Resident Evil movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He
But,
wrote a script for it.
It's out there. Yeah. I
The
think
script
you
is
can
out
read
there.
it. Yeah.
But, it's like the guy who basically fathered the popular version of the zombie genre, that you tell him, no, you're not going to direct this movie. I was saying, and then what we got instead was like, how could you think that would be better than what Romero would give you?
I think if they had said Resident Evil, a George Romero film, I think it would have probably done very well at that time.
Well, but you're talking about George Romero, Paul W.S. Anderson. You're talking about two heavyweights. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Two legends in the genre.
The only criticism I remember was that Romero's script was better, but it was like more of a straight horror film, and it lacked maybe some of the action that they wanted from a Resident Evil film. That was the excuse that I heard back then. I wish I should go back and read it again. I'd be curious to kind of compare.
From what I heard, like whatever the company that released, was it Capcom or Konami or something like that?
Capcom.
They thought the script was trash. Trash. They hated it.
Yeah, and what we got was just so much better. I fully understand what they were thinking now. So I understood when Romero, after Land of the Dead, where he still had to compromise, he went back indie, and even though you could say, what about Diary of the Dead and Survival of the Dead? I mean, at that point, he just gave no shits anymore, and he was just like, let's grab some cameras and go do what we used to do. And whatever happens, happens. And I think Diary worked. I actually like Diary of the Dead. I think that's a pretty good representation of where society was going with the cameras and narcissism and always wanting to record everything. Survival, not so much, but it was Romero, and I understood from following his career, the beating he took from the studio. So I was able to support no matter what he did, regardless of what the quality was, because ultimately it wasn't all his fault.
I want to say two things real quick. I want to say, Nico, thank you for the $5 super chat, man. You're awesome. Thank you much. And one other thing I want to say really quick is someday you'll be old too.
You'll end up in a white room and you'll never want to go outside again because there's nothing there. There's nothing out there.
So is Amusement Park better than Survival of the Dead?
Yes.
They're not. One's a PSA and one's a film. I mean, Survival of the Dead is definitely my least favorite Romero film, but
50 minutes is a long PSA.
Why was the Lutheran Church so concerned with people getting older?
Well, it was a joint effort between the Presbyterians, the Lutherans, and the Council on Aging, the local Pittsburgh government. It was about pointing out the exploitation of the elderly and the disenfranchised way they're treated.
I think Ben Stiller should have played the heavy in that, personally. I think that would have been interesting.
Because there's lots of little nods where there's one con man that ends up being like at every little stand, whether it's the insurance stand or it's the housing swap stand or even the religious stand, where like there's all the, George's little nod at everybody being taken advantage of by shysters that exist in all these different groups, and the elderly are a main target. And and when you're old, you lose your voice and you just become something people walk by without a second thought. Like the lady that kept running downstairs to call the doctor, and the doctor kept blowing her off. Her husband's got Alzheimer's or dementia, and they're living in a rat trap. And I love the interview with the guy that supposedly owned the building. And he's like, well, they pay me $10 a month. I'm supposed to fix it on that. I can't fix this on that. I loved all the little things that Romero, did in his, that to me was just.
It was very Romero in the sense that it was a message movie. There was a message there.
And it was a dark sense of humor behind it. Because you could, and it was very realistic as far as you could vision like that person being a real person. And I think since they didn't use a lot of actual actors, it made it even more realistic. So, I thought it was very effective for what it was supposed to be. Maybe a little too effective for church organizations, but it definitely gets its point across. And you will, at some point, experience the horrors of getting old. That's inevitable unless you drop dead young, which is a tragedy all its own.
It reminds me of the Dennis Leary stand-up where people were criticizing him smoking. And he says, well, the only years I'm losing are my convalescent hospital years, okay?
It's true. That's true.
It's going to take 10 years off your life. Yeah, the last 10.
Jeez. Let's talk about anybody interested in a Christine reimagining directed by Brian Fuller?
No.
No.
I'm not even familiar with who Brian Fuller is. Who is Brian Fuller?
The Hannibal
Yeah.
TV series.
Hannibal series, yeah.
I think Pushing Daisies. He's been in TV for a while. It's just that I'm waiting to hear that they've changed the car.
Oh, of course.
That it's gonna be a girl meeting like Artie will be the girlfriend part. You know what I mean? Like they'll flip it around. Where
Yeah,
fine.
of course.
but
And
we
the-
already
the car will
we
be
already-
like a Charger or a Challenger
Mi-
or whatever car.
Michael Bay's first Transformers movie is Christine. If you think about it, the idea of this kid getting Bumblebee
Or Bumblebee, yeah.
pretty much. So I don't know. I mean, the thing is that Christine is already as good as it could possibly be, in my opinion. I think that Carpenter's film, it got ignored for a long time, but in the last 15 years, it's been rediscovered and people love it, especially since it's been widescreen and 4K. It looks stunning. I don't understand. And the classical, 1950s music just makes it ageless. I don't even know how you could do that better. It's as perfect as it can get.
They
Same,
could
yeah.
change the car to a cherry red Challenger, and when it's going down the street, it's playing Limp Bizkit's "Rollin'." And I mean, yeah, it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome.
This Limp Bizkit fetish you have, Piz.
Oh my God.
I'm worried about you,
My
man.
boyfriend is friends with Fred Durst, so that's hilarious. I didn't know.
Really?
How did I miss your Limp Bizkit thing?
Oh.
I don't know. I don't know how I missed that.
Tell him
I
to
should've
email
told
me. Tell him to
I
email me.
should have told you.
Yeah, Pizzas need live stream with Fred Durst.
Yeah, I'd love to do a live stream with Fred Durst. That'd be awesome.
Is Christine going to be an electric car? That might be a change they make.
Yes. What if it's
Could be a Tesla.
There you go.
Oh yeah. Or what's the Toyota that's a Prius? Yeah,
Prius.
wouldn't that be nice?
Oh,
A Prius?
But do you think it's gonna be a guy with the car? I think it's gonna be a girl.
I think it's
I'm
gonna be a
su-
girl.
I'm sure they'll do some kind of dumb stuff like that.
They
Go,
gotta-
Look, it's
they gotta
original.
Send a message.
Well, if you think about it, though, in a lot of like with Chucky, they have to take away the supernatural element. So obviously, I think a Tesla would probably work in this case because it would be bad AI instead of demonic possession.
Bad
Can't be
AF.
having none of that. Can't be having none of that spiritual stuff here now. This has got to be, scientific now.
The one thing I would want to see is the body of the previous owner in the back seat giving, talking. Give me that. I mean, yeah, they'll gender swap it. It'll be the same movie, just gender swap. It'll be like, look how original we are.
I think you guys are going to need a writing credit on this thing because
We
you're
do.
giving way too many good ideas here.
Well, we have to bring it back so it can then become a part
Sorry.
of the Jurassic Park universe. So
Oh God.
that's just
the car-
how it is.
The car will be called Christina, and she'll go after toxic white men. We're writing this thing right here. Brian Fuller. He's at home taking notes right now.
I'll tell you right now, the only way you could really convince me to be on board at this moment of a Christine remake is if they had Keith Gordon directing it, because he's a solid director. Now, if they had him come back as the filmmaker, he could do something. He could do gender swap. He could do whatever he wants, and I would be like, I trust him because he is he's carrying the Christine legacy. Like him and what's his name, the friend in that movie. He's a director too. He directed Teresa's.
Yep.
Get them both on as co-directors. I don't know.
I think, well, as you said, Cameron, Christine's, there's just nothing to improve upon. Same thing with The Fog.
Yeah.
It's like, what am I going to do 30 years later or whatever it was at that point that is going to improve upon the film? There's nothing.
There are plenty of Stephen King books that need a real good adaptation.
Cameron, that is exactly what I was just about to say. Like Stephen King, you're picking a very well-known horror author who has a huge body of work, and you want to remake what somebody already did right. Okay.
I mean,
I can't.
If you want to make a horror film based on a Stephen King book, you can literally pick any of his short stories and pay him $1 for the rights for 5 years to make it. So it's like, I don't know why they're paying him big money when they could just grab some of his short stories and make a huge like epic out of him.
But don't you guys think that they're also trying to do cash grabs, even though everything is about that 18 to 24 demographic? Don't you think they're also trying to do cash grabs where they know that people that have nostalgia, now the 80s are popular, so we're going to get all those people to come see the movie just by virtue of we're going to call this a Christine remake. You know what I mean? Like Black Christmas 2019 had nothing to do really with Black Christmas, but they call it that and they get bodies and seats.
In 2021, I don't see a lot of 16 to 20-year-olds talking about getting that first car. That was something that was like a really big thing growing up. It's not anymore. Now
it's expected.
No, kids today are not interested in cars anymore.
Yeah. Well, because
but I mean, it's just an expected thing that they're going to have one, and it's not substantial.
They've all got video chat and stuff now, so they don't even really care about being in the same room with each other anymore. So
yeah.
That's not like a big, coming of age, like a big,
it's not
passage kind of thing now. When you get your first car, now it's like, you mean I've got to drive now? Oh God. I mean, when I got my first car, Jesus Christ, I was never home. I was out driving all the time.
I got to drive to the store to buy that. Can I just download it?
It was beautiful freedom. I know a young woman who, she put it off as long as she possibly could to drive. She didn't want to touch a car. She didn't want to be behind the wheel. And I was like, God, if when I was your age and I had like she had a car there for her to drive.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, I would have been in heaven, and you don't even want to.
Yeah.
$10 says that they weave in a DoorDash or Uber subplot with the car.
I'm giving them ideas, man.
I wouldn't shock me at all. Actually, my niece is 17 and she doesn't care. Like we're having to start to push her a little bit just to, get
It's
her
like
learners.
It's like a chore. It's like, I got to drive myself around. It's like
I got to pay for something I don't really want, and then pay insurance on something I don't really want.
Yeah.
I could spend that money on stuff I want.
It's like, I've got to put gas in it.
And I have to pay
Oil
for the
change.
gas.
But it's not relevant anymore. It's like we never ever need another adaptation of Children of the Corn, because there are no abandoned towns. In
Elijah Wood is talking about doing a Children of the Corn remake,
but there's no isolated towns with no internet anymore. I mean, I believed it in the original because I don't know, for whatever reason it was plausible. Now I don't. It's like, wait a minute, there's no way any commerce would exist in this town, and I don't know.
Well, they would just do what they do with so many horror movies. They just say, "Oh, this is supposed to be circa 1970 whatever or 19 whatever," and then one person wears wardrobe that is time period correct, and everybody else is just like, it's 2020, who cares?
Yeah,
that's what it'll be.
Well, it's always got to be some reason why cell phones aren't around,
Yeah.
Like, I don't have service, or it was stolen or broken or whatever, It's
or the Halloween 2018 cell phone gelatinous mass in a bowl dip.
That was stupid.
Really? That's how you choose to get rid of her phone? Why?
And then they did the character flip where the boyfriend goes from being supportive to a drunk asshole within like 30 seconds, just for the purpose of throwing her phone in the pudding. And then he disappears and he's no longer in the movie.
Her phone should have been wet, and then they should have just had it soaking in rice for like the whole rest of the movie.
Silicone gel packets.
Yeah, I'm not as offended at remaking Children of the Corn, because that's not a perfect movie in my opinion. That's not even close. I'm not even a big Children of the Corn fan, but yeah, when you're tackling something like Christine, at least go for the stuff that you can improve upon, which that definitely is in Stephen King's catalog. So yeah, he didn't even know how to always end his own novels, so there are things you can do.
That's true.
I think Carpenter's film is, I know he looks down upon it because it's an adaptation. It's not one of his original works, but I still think it's a 9 out of 10. I mean, it's pretty awesome.
I don't think it had the effect on his career he was hoping it would.
No.
He's another one like Romero where the studios really didn't do him any favors.
I think if he had done Firestarter, that might have been bigger for him. But Christine is ultimately, if it wasn't for Arnie's language, it's a PG movie. I mean, it's pretty, but I like that.
Yeah, I mean, nobody really talks about Firestarter.
No,
That's a great movie.
No, I like Firestarter.
Really? I've never heard.
It's a
I never
great
hear
book,
anybody
too.
talk about it.
I like the sequel too.
Never. As long I just just leave Dean Koontz Phantoms alone. You can't.
gosh.
That movie is perfection. You can't get any better than that movie. Don't mess with
Affleck
it.
was the bomb.
Affleck was the bomb. Yeah.
That movie pissed me off so bad.
there's not going to be another adaptation of Watchers, will there be?
I mean, why would an author do that to his own material? I mean, how much money was on that check?
He got paid well, I'm sure. He got paid well.
Dimension rewrote the whole thing, so it's the Weinstein.
Yeah. It probably was really written by one of the Weinsteins. They just put Kuntz's name on there.
It sounds like something they would do.
Yeah.
If he ain't got the balls to sue us.
They had Affleck and Rose McGowan in there. I mean, they were blackmailing everybody in that cast.
Liev Schreiber was up in there. Peter, what's not Peter Cushing. What was the doctor's? What was the doctor's name in that? Like the scientist guy?
It was. Oh, it's been so long since I've watched that.
Big name actor, Oscar winner. Big, and he's
Yeah.
talking about, these are the monsters that live within the earth. It's like, he had to get paid well. But I love Phantoms though. Love it. It's official. Rob Zombie's The Munsters is happening. Praise Jeebus.
I dressed for the occasion.
Oh, hey.
Very nice.
Nice. Very
see
nice.
it.
Susan. Very nice.
Is this a feature film or a TV show?
I believe this is going to be a feature film.
Yeah,
Rob
He
Rob
just
posted about it.
He just posted on Instagram some footage and photos of him and Butch Patrick with Munster cars, like the Munster coach. I'm assuming that Butch Patrick is going to be attached to it in some way, shape, or form.
He'll get him in there. Yeah. I mean, one thing I will say, obviously, Rob Zombie inspires some very strong feelings in the horror community, one way or the other. He is a legit fan. I mean, he loves the Munsters. He did a commentary on the Munsters Go Home Blu-ray that's actually really good. My question is, I mean, it's a tricky thing to try and do right now. I mean, we've seen big screen adaptations of a lot of like sitcoms from back in the day. Almost all of them are horrible just because that tone just doesn't work for people anymore. So my question's going to be, is he going to try and stick to the spirit of the series, or is he going to just do his own thing, go like full Halloween and Sherry Moon. I mean, I don't think of Motherly when I think of Sherry Moon. So it's going to be interesting what he has planned for this.
I think this is going to be family friendly because it's going to the streaming service.
Oh, let's see what Rob's here. Attention, boils and ghouls. The rumors are true. My next film project will be the one I've been chasing for 20 years. The Munsters. Stay tuned for exciting details as things progress.
I want to know who's going to play Herman. I mean, low key, kind of high key. My boyfriend and I do the Munsters. My boyfriend does an amazing Herman Munster, and I just feel like that is the key character. Like, please don't screw up Herman Munster. That's my.
What's his name?
Sid Haig.
Jeff Daniel Phillips. Jeff Daniel Phillips.
Oh, they already. Why did I not see that?
the rumors were Jeff Daniel Phillips as, of course, Herman. Sherry Moon is Lily, and I mean, who knows from there?
Why does she have to be in it?
So we have Rob Zombie's Munsters, Tim Burton's Addams Family coming. right? We're gonna be all goth out in a little bit.
Where is Winona Ryder going to be? And that's what I wonder. Or Christina Ricci. Either of them, I feel like if it's Tim Burton, like are they going to be attached? But I don't know. I hope Rob Zombie does not do the trashy, dark version of the Munster. Like, please don't trash it up and have the stripper mom and the cokehead dad. Please don't do that to the Munsters.
Well, Dan and I were talking about this before we went live. Like, what's the tone of this thing going to be? Because I mean, it's not going to be. This can't be a hard R-rated The Munsters movie.
Marilyn has an OnlyFans.
Yeah. I mean, it's got to be a PG-13. I mean,
Horror Twitter is just loving this news, though. I mean, I see lots of people pushing back, going, "Don't you rain on my Rob Zombie parade today?" Like this, I've been waiting for this for years, and I don't care what he does. Let him Rob Zombie it up and that type of thing. I mean, if you watch the making of that 4.5-hour Halloween documentary, he says he didn't want to make it the way that he made it. The Weinsteins kept saying, "Make it Rob Zombie, make it Rob Zombie." So he had to add in those white trash characters. I mean, he wanted to make it. In reality, he wanted to take the Carpenter Deborah Hill script and shoot it like a Morris Peros. He hired that cinematographer to do it, and they said, "No, you have to write the script and all that kind of stuff." So, I mean, his instincts might be different than what we expect.
I'm excited. I mean, because he is really a fan. I'm more a fan of his music than I am of his movies. And I've seen him, and I don't know if anybody else has, but he incorporates footage of the Munsters in his live shows and stuff like that. He really is an actual hardcore fan. So I feel like there has to be a part of him as a hardcore fan that is going to really try not to screw it up. You know what I mean? That it's going to try to, bring something extra to the table or new, or, add some flavor, his personal thing to it without ruining it. I hope. I have faith in him for that. So I kind of get where some people are like, just let him do it, because he's a really huge fan. So I feel like he probably has taken notes also from the Halloween situation, and hopefully it would, it would be good.
Maybe it's crazy. Maybe it's just crazy enough to work. I don't know.
I bet you he leaves in the laugh track.
Oh,
yeah. It's not going to feel like everything else that's out at the time. I mean, it's not going to feel standard. So, a lot of people are going to absolutely hate this. For some reason, Rob Zombie, I think after Halloween, it's just like a lot of horror fans just have nope in their head. It doesn't matter what he does. But I'm going in with an open mind. I mean, if nothing else, it's going to be interesting.
We'll know from the trailer, because I remember all us horror fans were super pumped for Tim Burton's Dark Shadows, and then the trailer dropped and we all went, "Oh no, what did he do?"
I might be more excited for this than a Tim Burton's Addams Family. It sounds odd to say that, but at this point, I might be a little more excited for Rob Zombie's Munsters.
Yeah, I don't know. I actually, Tim Burton's been on a big downslide too. What was the last good Tim Burton film? Was it like Sleepy Hollow or something?
Sweeney Todd.
Probably.
yeah.
But the thing, I feel like Tim Burton's been making the Addams Family for 30 years. So,
What were you going to say, Susan? I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was just going to say the Addams Family has had more reincarnations over these last couple of decades, and the Munsters haven't. So I think there's just that everyone, all cool people should love the Munsters. So, but they're not represented like the Addams Family have been through the years. So I think there's that aspect of it alone. It's just like, let's just see what can be done with it. But, I'll be interested to see it separately in my mind, like to kind of create its own little compartment, because to me, I'm sorry, Fred Gwynn, Yvonne DiCarlo, you can't, you're never going to shake that. You're never going to meet that. So he better know to just go somewhere completely different with it, or maybe focus on different characters or something. I don't know.
How many of us have the streaming service though? I mean, are we going to get the streaming service for this? I'm not.
Wait,
What
what
is the-
streaming service? I didn't see.
It's whatever the company is. That's going to CBS All Access or Paramount Plus or one of those.
Paramount Plus now, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have it. I don't know why I barely watch anything on it. But,
You just like your Cheers reruns. Come on.
yeah, I don't know. I'm subscribed to everything right now, and I'm not quite sure why. But I mean, I will say this for Sherry Moon: this could be a pretty unique opportunity to show that she can be more than just, baby. This is going to be a hard role for her to take on. Maybe she can do it. I don't know. I just don't see her pulling off that kind of motherly role very well, and
she's good in the first Halloween film. I mean,
she can act,
and even in the opening 5 minutes of Toby Hooper's Toolbox Murders, like she's solid when she's given material. Lord of Salem, I think proper material she can do it.
Hopefully, yeah. I am curious. I'm very, very curious to see what this looks like at the end.
Yeah. So it's going to play on this streaming service and not in theaters. Is that the plan?
Correct.
Or both?
Yeah, I didn't hear that.
I didn't hear that either.
Yeah, I don't know. It might be both. I'm not sure, but yeah, I know it is going to be.
Depending how good it is, it might be both.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, after Lords of Salem and 31, I'm just like thinking, I can't believe he got himself another high profile project, because it looked like he was just going to go straight to, streaming horror films for Shudder.
Mm-hmm. Hey, yeah. I can't really come up with somebody though that would have me curious directing it. I mean, if I just heard it was a Munsters reboot with some no-name director, I don't know, but the excitement, and it might be a disaster. I'm not by any means saying that this is going to be good, but sometimes you just got to see the car wreck.
But maybe we should just watch it for the cars, because he's going to have the actual Barris like Munster cover. You know what I mean? Because he's got access, and he's got Butch Patrick in there somehow as well, and he has attachments and stuff. So I would watch it just for the nostalgia of seeing the actual maybe set pieces, but the cars alone. I mean, I don't know if any of you guys have seen them in person, but it's fantastic. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Great.
They're so cool. So I think that'll be cool alone,
it's such a ludicrous idea that it might actually work.
That's what I'm thinking. It's so out there, and it might work. Yeah.
I'd say don't set it in present day though. Like, I don't want to see Eddie Munster tweeting. Leave it a little bit.
This is Rob Zombie here. It's going to be 1973.
That'd be a good move. That would be a good move.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
Present day.
I can't remember. So was the Munsters in color or is it black and white? Because I'm thinking, or maybe I'm confusing that with Addams Family.
It was black and white, wasn't it?
What do you think? I think he might mix it up and like have like start in black and white, go to color, or he might mix it up, because Rob Zombie's a nutcase when it comes to like film techniques and stuff like that. He might just really.
I would love it if he kept it black and white. That would be freaking amazing.
I see him doing the opening credits. I see him adding the laugh tracks to it. I see him like making this like old school.
Yeah.
If they let him do the black and white, that's the only thing. But I would love to see that.
I mean, this is a guy who made the Living Dead Girl music video into the Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. So.
Is he going to let his band do the theme song? I mean, John Five's a hell of a musician.
Yeah.
I think that might be cool to get a punched up version of the Munsters theme song.
Oh, it'll be metal, of course.
Yeah.
It'll be metal.
Well, he plays a snippet of it during his live shows and stuff, so that would be really cool.
I don't know. Again, I'm optimistic. Again, I think it's just crazy enough that it might work. So I'm definitely more interested in seeing Rob Zombie's The Munsters than I am in Tim Burton's The Addams Family.
Yeah.
So,
I want to see Rob Zombie's Brady Bunch. I want to see. I want him to hit them all.
Oh my God, that would be so funny. Marsha. Okay.
Rob Zombie's Happy Days.
Yeah.
That would be. Or what about Rob Zombie's Andy Griffith show? Let's get that going.
I never really saw that show. That show was on some channel the other day. My boyfriend's like, "Do you even know?" I'm like, "I don't even know."
The Andy Griffith Show.
Yep.
That reminds me of a Simpsons episode where they were watching TV and it was Andy Griffith, but Charles Bronson had taken over for Andy, and he was now the town sheriff. And Don Knotts, and the Don Knotts character goes, "Well, where's Earl?" He goes, and Bronson goes, "I shot him." He goes, "What?" the town drunk, whatever the town drunk. It's like, "Where's Earl at? He's not in his cell." "I shot him." "What?" He goes, "Now I'm going down to Emmett's Fix-It shop to fix Emmett."
Oh my God.
They played the whistle music as he walked out. So
Oh my God. Piz, have you seen, my boyfriend had the Cowboy Channel or something, Western Channel, I don't know, something on in the middle of the night last night. And I looked and I said, "Oh my God." And I took a picture of the TV because Charles Bronson was in it. He looked like he was like 18 or something. And Roy Rogers. I'm like, what is this? It was so wild.
He had a very
idea.
long he had a super long career, but he didn't get into acting until he was like 40. So I mean,
I had no idea.
I mean, he was in Sergio Leone films, and
yeah, he's a long career, man. Yeah. We're about to dive into some physical media talk, but before we do that, let's see what Garrett's got for us with the RAD report.
Rad report. What's up, everybody? Garrett back here and interrupting your regularly scheduled program to bring you the newest edition of the RAD report, where I go through the physical media releases and news for the next coming weeks. All right, so the new releases in the next couple weeks, I mean, we are steelbook crazy right now. We have Some Kind of Wonderful, Pretty in Pink, and Ferris Bueller's Day Off hitting the store shelves on Blu-ray in a steelbook edition. Sadly enough, I talked about this last time. I bought that big John Hughes box set. If I would have known these were coming out in steelbook a few months later, I probably would have waited because they look really, really cool, but it's not something I'm going to double dip on. All right, I've talked about this before and everybody's going to laugh, but Indiana Jones box set is coming out in 4K, and Best Buy has a limited edition steelbook packaging for it, like a steelbook box set. Looks really cool. I've never seen any Indiana Jones movies in my life, which is super weird, I know, and it's just one of those funny things that at this point in my life, just because it's been so long, it's like almost funny that I just continue not to ever see one. Hopefully someday I do, and this might be the perfect time. And Godzilla vs. King Kong is coming out in a steelbook 4K, Best Buy exclusive. All right, a new release from Arrow is The Stylist. My buddy Justin over at Movie Watch Daily keeps telling me, you've got to see this movie. I have not seen it. I think I'm going to probably pick it up on Blu-ray. If anybody's seen this movie, give me a recommendation now. Should I get this or should I not? Code Red is releasing a couple titles. These are just Blu-ray upgrades, Scream and The Being. I already have both of them on DVD. I'm not really sure I'm going to upgrade to Blu-ray for these two titles, but you never know. Scream Factor is releasing The Kindred. I don't know if this is some kind of remake or not. And they're also releasing a movie called Sphinx, which I've never seen. But they are releasing next week. And then Kino Lorber is releasing Body Slam, which I'm definitely picking up. It's a movie about pro wrestling. Rowdy Piper is in it, and that's coming out next week as well. All right, on to the news and pre-orders. We've got quite a bit of stuff going on right now. We've got a lot of announcements. A lot of pre-orders have gone up from all different companies. The first one is Arrow, and they announced a 4K of Dune, and they're also coming out with a Blu-ray edition of Brotherhood of Satan. Kino announced that they're going to be doing a hard target release. I think it's going to have 2 cuts of the film on there. I'm definitely upgrading to that. Synapse is going to release their own versions of Demons on 4K. Honestly, I mean, Arrow just did all those Demons. We did a Demons box set. We did individual releases of Demons. Now Synapse is doing their version of Demons. Guys, I have the Synapse Steelbooks on Blu-ray that are beautiful and great editions. I just don't see myself upgrading these again. Mill Creek just announced they're going to be releasing a standard edition of Rad, so I assume those steelbooks are already limited and maybe they're gone. So if you guys haven't got Rad yet, I would definitely try to track down those steelbooks because it seems like they are going to be gone quick. Vestron has announced their newest title, Wraith, which I'm super excited to upgrade this to Blu-ray. This is going to be an awesome addition, and what I like about Vestron is you're getting that quality of like these boutique labels, but you're getting them now at a lower price point. So I think they said that this is already on pre-order for about $12.99, which is definitely a great deal on this. And as you remember on things like Little Monsters, these were at the stores. I saw this at Walmart for like $12.99 as well. So I'm kind of glad Vestron's going this route. It just changes things up than always having to pay like $30 for one of these titles. Scream Factory just announced 2 movies that they're going to be coming out with on Blu-ray, and that is Return to Salem's Lot, which is interesting because I know Warner Archives had it. They're releasing it on Blu-ray, which is kind of funny because if you guys don't know me, I'm a fitness trainer, and one of my clients, my past clients, actually was in, believe it or not. So as soon as this came out, I made sure to message him, and he couldn't believe this movie was actually going to get a Blu-ray release. They also announced the movie The Borrower, which I have never seen this. I don't think it has a DVD release or anything, so I'm definitely jumping on this because it's something I don't even have in my collection, nor have I ever seen. All right, and the last bit of news is from Severin. They just announced that they're going to do a Lucio Fulci film, Warriors of the Year 2072. I have never seen this either. It's a Lucio Fulci film. I assume it's not horror. It seems kind of like post-apocalyptic, so if anybody has anything on this one, let me know. They're also coming out with Retribution, which was, I believe, a Code Red title. I don't think I have it on DVD. I believe it's a Code Red title. It's actually a pretty cool movie. Am I going to upgrade to the Blu-ray? Probably not. But I think this is a real cool movie, and you guys should check out if you don't have this one. All right, everybody, that is all the news I have this week, all the things that are coming out on physical media. Thank you guys for checking this out. This is Garrett from Born to Be Rad, and now get back to the rest of Region Free.
All right, thank you, Garrett, for another.
You say
rad
post-apocalyptic and Fulci in the same I'm in. Take my money. I'm in. That sounds like something I really want to see. Now, I have the Indiana Jones Blu-ray set.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really feel a need to upgrade that.
Yeah,
I did read something that was kind of funny where they were interviewing the actress that played Marion Ravencroft.
Karen
And they
Allen.
asked her, they asked her if she thought it was creepy that, referencing her character's relationship with Indiana Jones as talked about in the first movie, where they were arguing. She's like, I was just a kid. So it's like they were trying to paint Indiana Jones as maybe a pedophile or a groomer.
Oh, yeah.
they're confused because George Lucas wanted it in the script that she was 12 when it happened. They did not include the age in the script in the film, but Lucas wanted it to be 12 or 13. So I think they're confused because she says she was young, but that could mean 17, 18. I mean, they never stated how old she was going to be.
Well, her take on it was that she was about 16 and he was about 26. And, I referenced myself being 19 years old, just being a dumb kid. So she just says, I was just a dumb kid. So, that could be anywhere in that age range. But yeah, think about this is a 41-year-old movie that takes place 50 years prior to its production time.
Right.
Okay. Adulthood was considered puberty about 150 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So that's one thing I have a big problem with is this modern moral lens that they tend to look back and judge people in the past based on what we believe to be moral.
You can still get a marriage license at 13 in Kansas.
In some places you can, but that just like there was a British musician that said, "Hey guys, that was cool. I found out I was related to Florence Nightingale. Now I realized that she had some problematic attitudes and outdated ways of doing things, but I still thought it was pretty cool." Well, she lived 200 years ago. You fucking think her ideas are outdated? What kind of bullshit is this? I don't understand. There's a lot of things about the modern. I don't want to call it cancel culture. That's a dumb thing to say. But just the people that look back and have a problem with something that happened 200 years ago, in comparison to the way we do things now. That to me is just a waste of time, a waste of thought. Keep your eyes moving forward so you don't trip over something, idiot.
I'm excited for Borrower too. That's a really good movie. That's been due a Blu-ray release for a long time.
Cool. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. There were a lot of releases coming out. So I mean, that's good. More releases, the better. He did mention Body Slam, which made me kind of think about the new Dark Side of the Ring season.
Oh, yeah.
Has anybody been watching those?
I have. Yeah, I've watched them all. Heavy stuff this season.
Oh, that's the Grizzly Smith one was very heavy.
Yeah,
very, very heavy. You're muted, Stingray. What were you going to say about the Grizzly Smith one?
Yeah, there's a disclaimer at the beginning.
Yeah,
of how graphic it is.
Yeah, very, very heavy. And like, okay, so you kind of watch that and you go, okay, so it kind of makes sense how messed up Jake the Snake was, you know. So.
Just a little bit, yeah, but again, you know, things were different, yeah. But you know, isn't there a disclaimer in front of everything on Disney Plus?
No, just a couple things.
Just a couple things.
It seems like whenever they put a TV show on there from 20, 30 years ago, it'd be like, oh, well, portrayals of certain minorities are problematic, and language and this, that. It's like they have to try to appease everybody with a disclaimer.
Yeah, because my kid we were watching Dumbo, and that's on there before Dumbo. And my feeling is if you're going to do that, then put Song of the South on there.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to do that, if you're going to go to that extra step, just why not? I mean, Song of the South is available in every country but America legally. You can buy it in Japan. So
I had like the double record album when I was a kid that had like the book was in the middle. You open up the double record and it was like you could read the story along with the record and stuff. But I just thought it was a story. I didn't, you know what I mean? I didn't think like, oh, hey, I get to hate people. This is cool. That wasn't my takeaway. My takeaway was just a story.
What is it you're talking about? Which Song of the South?
Yeah, where the song Zippity Doo Dah comes from. It's basically like a rabbit, a fox, and a bear. They hang out in like sort of the Civil War type area. But there's lots of like one of their best friends is a thing called the Tar Baby. And it's like this black tar figure that looks like the scarecrow, and it's just very this is
all new to me. I'm like, huh?
What was that guy's name? Uncle Remus.
Remus, yeah.
He sings the song Zippity Doo Dah.
Mike, I have that record in my closet, and I'd show some pictures, but I don't want YouTube to flag the video. So
I'll hunt you down, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, just I was really kind of let down with the Ultimate Warrior episode. I really felt like that one needed 2 episodes, kind of the way they did the Brian Pillman one, because they left out a lot of stuff.
They did.
They left out a lot of stuff. The Brian Pillman double episode was really good. The what was the extreme guy? What was
Nick Gage?
Nick Gage. Yep, that one was really interesting. Overall, really good season. I just, I don't know. I wanted more out of the Warrior one.
Did you watch the Warrior episode on the A&E show?
I've not watched that one.
That one's pretty good too.
And I actually heard that is better than the Dark Side of the Ring one.
It's a little more positive.
Are we excited about the Wraith coming out on Blu-ray?
I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get it. Yeah, I've only seen that movie a couple of times. I watched it not long ago, and I mean it.
It's better now than it was then. I mean, at the time it felt kind of just like cheesy and cheesy, and now it's like it's all practical effects, so it's cool, and the actors are well known now. So
that's a weird movie.
I'm doing a rewatch. I'm gonna get it too. It's never been like holy ground for me, but I'm kind of curious to watch it again with fresh eyes.
And Clint Howard has hair. I mean, that's probably one of the better things about it.
There you go.
And I kind of feel a kinship to Garrett, because Garrett was like, I never was, he said he's never seen any of the Indiana Jones movies. I've seen them, but they weren't like, like Indiana Jones and like the Back to the Future movies. I liked them, but they were never to me like, they defined my childhood, as they do with a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
What defined my childhood was horror. It was Friday the 13th and not.
Yeah.
So
Well, that was the stuff that was easily accessible. You know, the
Yeah.
Friday the 13th and the Halloween stuff when you're a kid, that's harder to get a hold of. But I saw all of the Indiana Jones films in the theater, original run, Star Wars, you know, Back to the Future, all that stuff was playing at every local place around, so it was easy access. And I love, actually, Raiders of the Lost Ark is my favorite of the films. It's the dark. Well, it's dark, but not as dark as Doom. Temple of Doom, probably the darkest, closest to being a horror film, which Spielberg regrets to this day. But I don't know. I think it added a little flavor to it.
I think that's why I like Temple of Doom the best, actually.
But you know, they're just great adventure movies that were, you know, him and Lucas got together and said, "Hey, we grew up on these action serials, cliffhangers back when we were kids. Let's make a movie series based on that." And you know, Harrison Ford really, you know, how many actors get to have multiple, you know, signature characters? You know, I mean,
I have one issue.
That's his favorite series. Yeah, what's your favorite character you play? Indiana Jones. That's the one he loves the most. So, yeah, I would say I do have a definite affinity for the series, and I've got the box set. And I don't need to double dip, though. It's not that big of a deal to me. But no, if somebody out there hasn't watched it, at least watch the first two.
Yeah, I haven't really seen them. I mean, I know I've seen them. They've been on, but I never paid attention. Like, I know Indiana Jones when I see the, you know, oh, Indiana Jones. Okay, gotcha. I get that, but I've never actually watched the Indiana Jones movies.
The first three are really good. And Mike, you know, Harrison Ford's had 3 series, right? Star Wars, Indiana Jones, and Jack Ryan. He had the whole Jack Ryan thing with Clancy in the 90s as well. And I saw a video saying that the Blu-ray set is actually right now better than the 4K because of its proper color correction. They overdid the tint apparently in the 4K. So just be aware of that. So you're not really missing much. If you have a 4K upscaler anyway, it's probably going to look just as good.
I was always a big fan of the Richard Chamberlain, Sharon Stone flicks, King Solomon's Mines, Alan Quartermain. I actually like those better. I don't know. I was strange, I guess, but
I like those too. There's room for everything.
I have one issue with Temple of Doom, and that it takes place before Raiders. I always thought that was a horrible mistake because you know he's going to live, you know.
That takes the mystery out of that.
Well, Temple of Doom is so dark and so horrific. There's a good chance that none of them are going to live, but I think maybe they purposely set it before so they don't scare the hell out of you. Because there are sequences. That scene on the bridge, hang on, lady, we're going for a ride. It's like, yep.
I did recently pick this little bad boy up right here. Delirium. Lamberto Bava's Delirium. Oh,
it's a great.
Oh, good.
It's a great one.
Oh, love it. Love it. Let's talk some more about physical media. We recently had the Vinegar Syndrome halfway to Black Friday mega sale. Dan, I know you took advantage of it. Anybody else take advantage of the halfway to Black Friday sale? Nobody else?
Yeah,
we may have. I think we made up for it between the two of us. Everybody.
I lived vicariously through you as I watched your stream.
Okay.
I was watching you shop, and I was like, "Okay, that's good enough for me."
You guys are fast because I mean, I watched you and I watched CK do his, and it's like literally, you have to be having it in your cart within 20 seconds of it going live because it's like I've seen people's like orders just disappear from the cart.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The stuff that I wanted, I didn't even see. I'm like, wait, I don't know how this works. Why?
If you were looking for, I can't remember what was on the verge of selling out this time because I already had it. But yeah, there's like they let you know ahead of time, like, get these, they're going to be gone. I think Beastmaster or the special box of Beastmaster was the thing this year. It was some interesting announcements. I got everything. I didn't get the Scanner Cop 4K yet. And I didn't get Alien from LA. I got everything else. It's hard because those 2 box sets. I got the TV horrors box set and the Rene Cardonas collection. So I I'm still going to get the other two, but I could. My bill was through the roof.
Oh yeah.
I wanted the Scanner Cop set, but I'm too rich for my blood, and that was on a sale. I also
I felt
wanted
the same way. Maybe they do it that way, so you have to push the buy now button before you can contemplate that much money coming out of your account.
Yeah.
Yeah, just like I need it before it goes, and
Wait, how much did I spend? Holy
then you
shit.
can cry later.
Yeah.
I wanted the Angel set too, but that was gone. They just had the individual releases.
You get them anyways. I love the Angel movies.
I mean, I've got them already. I mean, it's like how many times do I need to buy the same movie? I mean, it's ridiculous.
This is going to be a bad month for me. That's why I didn't look at their sale, because I got Kino and Criterion coming up in the next 2 weeks. So I'm a dead man.
Let's see. I picked up the Homegrown Horrors Volume 1. I got the Severed Arm, Sudden Fury, the Murder Weapon Deadly Embrace combo, Cemetery of Terror, which for some reason that one slipped under my radar. It's directed by the same guy who did Don't Panic, which is now like a new classic in my opinion.
Yes, it's a fun film.
I got The Caller, which I've heard a lot of good things about, and Necromancer. So that was my big haul. And I'm not going to say how much they were all together.
I was going to say, is that about $600 haul or what?
Oh, no. But, it's not cheap.
Yeah, it was about 2 something for me. So yeah, it was not cheap, but a lot of great entertainment coming my way.
I know Lauren's into ripping the slips, but with Vinegar Syndrome, you can actually sell the slips and make back a good chunk of change. Do you guys?
You can. There's a huge market for those slips for sure.
Yeah, Lauren's gonna find one day that he could retire to his own island in Hawaii with all of these things that he's Yeah, I don't. I get his point though. Like, I don't tear him up, but I get it. I kind of get what he's saying.
Do you sell yours?
No. But it's nice to know if I ever ran into some financial trouble, I could. So
I used to sell the digital codes that came out of the discs, and I would always offset my costs quite a bit by those.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of people still do that. I do eBay, and it's pretty much just to buy stuff. I mean, I don't bank any of it. I just buy new releases. So, but they have a pretty good variety of stuff that came out in this particular thing. I was hoping for the Prom Night sequels. I'm not going to lie, but I was still impressed.
I was too. I was hoping for those. And then they kind of they gave us some hints at stuff that's coming out. They said there's going to be a new slasher, never on Blu-ray slasher is coming out from them. Thinking maybe September, October. I don't remember. Several box sets, bunch of new 4K stuff. So I mean, they've got a lot on their plate. That's for sure.
I want more Giallo boxes. I love those.
Yeah, I know Nico in the chat. He's a big fan of those Giallo boxes. So, yeah. But yeah, a lot of supporting physical media here.
Well, I got excited by him talking about the Synapse doing a Demon set, because I don't have those from Arrow, so I'll pick up the Synapse set.
Well, I most of us, I think, probably knew that was going to happen. That Synapse, because Synapse owns the U.S. rights, and Diabolic said, "Well, we're not going to release we're not going to carry the Arrow set out of respect for the U.S. just owner or whatever," which of course is Synapse. So that tells you Synapse is working on their own 4K release. But I don't. Go ahead, Cam.
I'm sorry. I did pick up The Stylist. I haven't watched it yet, but I did get that one. I've heard really good things about it. So
we reviewed it on Flesh Wound Features. It's kind of a female Joe Spinell maniac type thing. I liked it.
It was a Kickstarter film. So
yeah, it was. Yeah, it was a short film first, I believe.
Yeah.
Or short story. I could be wrong on the film.
See, there was a. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, Invisible Maniac is one of the rumored upcoming releases. That maybe Vinegar Syndrome. We don't know. It is a never on Blu-ray slasher, so I mean that it's coming out from somebody for sure. But I'm just glad that it's coming out. That's a really fun.
It is
movie. I mean, it would be Vinegar Syndrome is the perfect home for it. But yeah. All right. Anything else? Should we anything else on y'all's mind to discuss tonight before we call it a night?
I'm still reeling from some of the Munsters stuff, but
Yeah.
I did also pre-order the Dune 4K Arrow set. Once I found out there was a US release, I got that. Regardless of whatever you think of that film, it's just going to look stunning in 4K. And Arrow does an amazing job with their releases. I'm very happy with that company.
Oh,
I think I heard.
Well, I'm sorry, Dan. Hold that thought. One other thing I was going to add about the Demons and Demons 2 set is basically Don May Jr. has said at this point now that it's happening because he posted on Instagram saying like, "Hey, wouldn't it be cool if we released our own Demon and Demons 2 4K, we'll steel books with slips and really cool presentations, and wouldn't that be really cool? That's an idea." It's like, yeah, that's a good idea, So yeah, I think that's happening.
I think whenever you see a company like that saying, we're coming out with a 4K restoration, you might just want to just hold off and wait for the inevitable 4K release.
I did. Speaking of Synapse, I did recently pick up their Living Dead at Manchester Morgue, aka Let Sleeping Corpses Lie release, and I don't want to say I forgot how good this movie was, but I'd kind of had forgotten how good this movie was, to be honest. So, but yeah, really good. Yeah, great movie and really nice release.
Yeah, that I would highly recommend that. Anybody that hasn't seen that one, that it doesn't get the attention it deserves, but it is a horror classic.
Yeah.
The box sets have been killing me lately. I got the Andy Milligan set, the Eurocrypt Christopher Lee sets on the way, I believe. The box sets have just been destroying me. I'm behind. I still need to get the Django 4K. I need to get Santa Sangra 4K.
I got that. It looks stunning.
Yeah,
and the Vincent Price sets are coming out soon too. All those movies.
That's where my money's going.
Yeah. So I think there's like 5 or 6 of those titles coming out.
Mm-hmm.
And if anybody wants to keep up on what Vestron is doing, Michael Felsher does live streams on Facebook where you can ask him questions. And of course, he's heavily involved in Vestron and all the releases. So he might be able to answer some of your questions, and you might be able to give him suggestions about things that the company might look into.
Somebody actually posted earlier in the chat. I meant to highlight it, but I guess during one of his recent live streams, he mentioned that he was working on 3 different Vestron titles
that he couldn't mention that will be coming out by the end of the year. Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah. So that's cool. That's very cool.
I love Vestron. I mean, I never would have picked up all the Warlock films or the or the Wishmaster movies. It's like kind of like, it's great. Like nobody in their right mind is going to buy Wishmaster 4. But if you put it in a set, you're like excited. Like I got the whole Wishmaster set. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I like, and the fact that they've decided to go $11.95 with so many of their newer titles, it's like genius move.
Yeah.
Genius.
If you remember in the beginning, their titles were like $30-$35 a pop.
Yep. Maximum Overdrive got a lot of flack for that.
Yeah. So I mean, coming down to like $12-$13. I mean, and the Little Monsters and the Shivers releases were still really good. I mean, it's like they didn't cut corners. They still had lots of extras and a great transfer. And I mean, you got a lot of bang for your buck.
It kind of showed. Good.
I was going to say I paid quite a bit for that Rawhead Rex.
Oh yeah, Kino.
Well, just wait for the Kino sales because they always go down to $8 when the sales hit. That's why I walk out with about 25 titles and a broke bank account. But that's how you stock up.
What do you have coming from Criterion, Cameron?
honestly, a lot of like normal titles. I saw Jay's thing about the Crash. Crash is great. They did a great job with Crash.
Yeah, I have that. Yeah.
And they included the whole Cannes Film Festival press table thing of that. I wish they had included Francis Ford Coppola refusing to give the award to Cronenberg. I mean, that would have been a great bit of footage. But just normal titles. I got Fast Times coming, and try to think. I want to get the Marlene Dietrich box set with Joseph Sternberg. I don't know. I really love like when they do like, just big, like you talk about, I mean, box sets kill me too when it comes to Criterion. I mean, I got the Bruce Lee set and all that kind of stuff. That's like stunning. So
When is that sale?
It's usually like the end of June.
Okay.
And they have enough product that if you show up the third day, I mean, they still have stuff. It's not like the Barnes and Noble sale. We're out of stock,
I guess it was announced 10 hours ago that Halloween Kills will actually be a theatrical release on October 15th.
That makes sense.
And I don't know where I've heard this before, but the film takes place exactly the same night as the Halloween 2018. That's a concept I've never heard of before, but hey, it could be cool. And they're bringing back Tommy Doyle, Lindsay Wallace, and Sheriff Brackett.
With Anthony Michael Hall, right? Playing him.
Tommy Doyle, yeah.
Playing Tommy Doyle.
If they had any guts, they'd put the Man in Black in this movie. But why not?
Are they going to bring back a bad wig, though? I need to know.
I'm not expecting anything good, so why not?
Well, we can
I'm
support
so sad.
Antlers.
I'm so sad not to be able to see it in the theater, though, because I'm your girl that had anaphylactic shock and tried to die twice from 2 different vaccines, so they won't give me any vaccines. So I'm just like here. So I'm not feeling like I will be comfortable enough to go to the theater in October yet. I don't know.
I do believe my first trip back to the theater is going to unfortunately be the Candyman remake with Jeremy, because he is dead set to watch that movie. So
I'm sorry.
I know.
Where do we send the condolence cards?
So what you should do, Piz, is take a trip out to Lauren's house and then watch Candyman on the big screen outside, and then just tell Jeremy that's the new one.
He said, you can't trick him like that.
He would know.
Yeah, he would know.
You see that trivia game with Piz and Jeremy?
He's like an encyclopedia of film. He's like the human encyclopedia.
Do you think?
I think this is going to be our next challenge here, the Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street trivia challenge.
Wow. That looks great.
Oh man, I need to get that.
That looks so cool.
I asked him which one do you want to do first, Friday the 13th or Nightmare? And of course he's like, Nightmare on Elm Street. So I'm like, oh, he'll kill me in that.
You're a dead man walking.
Yeah. So he came up, he found this at the used bookstore on his birthday, and he came up like running with it, he's like, so
that's so cool.
Yeah.
I think when the new Candyman movie comes out, we'll probably finally get a Blu-ray of Candyman 3.
Thank God.
Yeah, there's an overseas, I believe. So yeah, it'll come. But I will say, for people not excited about Candyman or Halloween, don't forget we got Antlers, Green Knight. Support those films. They're probably going to be better.
Yeah, I am looking forward to Antlers for sure. Green Knight looks really interesting too.
Well, I'm just mad that every time I splurge and get a $50 4K set from Blue Underground, it's on Shudder the next week.
That's how it goes.
Yep.
So what's going on over on the Flesh Wound Features YouTube channel, Dan?
We've got a bunch of new shows up. We have one that we just shot that was inspired by one of us saying that Asylum movies are better than Army of the Dead. So we did a binging of Zombies, and I'll be honest, I like them better than Army of the Dead. That may not be saying much, but we did that. We've got a bunch of shows coming up. Flesh Wound Features.
Wow. What's going on over on your plethora of channels, Stingray?
Oh man, there's always stuff coming, more content coming, and a big announcement. I finally got a merch store.
Nice.
That, I'm putting up more and more stuff on there all the time. So check that out. You can find the link on my Twitter or YouTube, wherever.
I retweeted it the other day. So
Yes, thank you, man. Thank you.
yeah, no problem.
Is there any the shirt designs? They just need to be like a beard, just the beard, like the big beard.
Yes.
Stinger, Jay the Stingray with like just a big beard.
Well, it should be a
Or-
face mask with a beard.
Yeah. No, I don't need that. Or like a picture of Stingray in different people's houses. That'd be a great shirt design right there. Great shirt.
Jay
design.
versus the Croc Hunter. I want Freddy versus Jason style. That's what I want.
Oh my God! Yes.
What's going on over on your channel, Cameron?
Just still while I'm working on the film, just kind of if a new story pops up and I feel like talking about it, there's lots of rumors going around about what this new Lynch project's going to be. So I'm doing that because whenever I talk about like any other movie right now, it gets about 100 views. But if I talk about a Lynch project, it gets about 1,000 views. So right now I'm going. So I'm trying to get to 4,000 subs. I got 300 more to go. So I'm trying to ride that wave a little bit.
I think Lynch is going to follow this path of, you know, the Tim Burton Addams Family, the Rob Zombie Munsters, and he'll bring us like, I don't know, David Lynch's Alf.
Cool.
Oh,
You know?
Let's see him being operated on the final episode.
Yeah. You'd literally get to see Alf like eating cats alive, you know?
Wow.
Oh, I'm actually really on board for that.
As long as it goes, oh, Willie. I used to have the Burger King Alf puppet, you know, that came with it.
Oh yeah, that's a great commercial too.
I loved Alf back in the day, man.
Mm-hmm.
Too.
I always loved it because, like, there would always be those one or two shots where they'd have the little guy in the suit run through the room, and you'd be like, "Oh my God, look how little Alf is!"
That's because like the creator of that show was high on smack the whole time. So
yeah. Ben Stiller played him in a film.
Permanent
actually.
Midnight. Yeah.
Permanent Midnight. Yeah.
What's going on with you, Susan?
I keep saying I'm going to upload another video, but I haven't yet. But I am uploading a video this week.
Oh.
So that's it. I mean, I kind of took a little sabbatical. You know, YouTube was kind of a soul sucker for me. So I just, you know, I took a little breaky break, and I'm gonna have another video next week. And I just I redid all of my YouTube banners and icons and all the stuff on all my social media or whatever, because I was tired of looking at it was old and I wanted to do something, you know, newer and better. So that's where I'm at. So hopefully by the end of the week, but I'm not sure. It's going to be, I have a couple of things I've filmed and I'm not sure which one it'll be, but one of them will be up this week.
Okay, and you're pretty active on Instagram too.
Oh
What's
yeah,
your
I'm Horror Gal Susan, like everywhere. Instagram, Twitter. I am pretty much active on everything. And I do post sometimes on my YouTube community tab, even while I've kind of, you know, been taking a step back from the videos. It's just a thing where, and I don't know if any of you guys have had this happen, probably not, because I took like 6 months off or whatever. But you know, all the stuff that happened and the adpocalypse and this and that and the algorithm and people and just I don't know. I just had to step away from it for a minute. It was just giving me anxiety. I felt like I was forced to put up content that I didn't want to put up and that I didn't think was very good, but just for the sake of getting something out there. And I was just like, I'm tired of doing a disservice. If only 20 people watch whatever I put out in 6 months, then at least it'll be something that I'm happier about, you know? Mm-hmm. So, because it stopped being fun for me, and that's why I always did it. I never, you know, so now I'm trying to make it where, you know, I'm still planning on going back to one video a week, but it'll be fun and it'll hopefully, you know, look, sound, feel, and just be, even my editing, hopefully a little bit better than previously. And it won't just be random, silly stuff.
Cool. Very cool. Mike, what's up with you, man?
Oh man, I've been busy. Of course, you know, the Eyes of a Stranger thing I did with Stone, which was a lot of fun. It was hilarious. I was watching it on Amazon, and he was watching the DVD. And at the beginning, we're trying to get it lined up. That was hilarious. That was a chore trying to get that lined up. But I really enjoyed it. Had a lot of fun. You know, Stone is a wealth of information about the stuff. We really had a great time being just uber nerds about that film and filming in general, and that was a lot of fun. And I had a great time on Lauren's channel with the Obscurity Report we did with Dar at the Mall. Susan was there.
Yes,
that was,
that was so much fun. That was great.
Yeah, and of course I had a lot of stuff to do this week. So I had basically 3 shows to do in 1 week, and it was a lot of prep plus work, and so I'm kind of burnt right now. I think I'm just going to take next week and just kind of chill out a little bit. Of course, when you send me the edit request list for this show, I'll get busy doing that. But other than that, I think I'm just going to kind of back up a little bit. And yeah, I've got my other project I'm working on the side, which also requires a lot of research for me to do. And when I was in a band before, I only learned the amount of music theory that I actually needed for what I was doing. And I've been exploring more of that rabbit hole, which is quite deep and dense, and trying to pick and choose what I might need for my next project. And it's going to be an undertaking, but still haven't got the computer yet. Still waiting on the parts to be available. But everything is it is what it is. When it's go time, it's go time. But until then, I have a lot of things involved with the show and things going on the side that keeps me busy and having a good time.
There you go. Yeah, and again, that commentary with Mike and Stone for Eyes of a Stranger is on our Patreon right now. Patreon exclusive. Let's go check it out. All right, very cool. Yeah, I've got some reviews coming out in the next few days, and just working on this and that and the other. So that's what's going on with me. But yeah, fun show tonight. Thank you all for hanging out and talking movies and what have you. Always a pleasure. Let me give some shout outs here. Shout out to Nico for the $5 super chat. That was very kind of you, sir. Let's see who's still with us tonight. We've got Cable Channel 11, Anthony Anderson, Sean McManus. Hey, isn't that Devon Graham? Roland 666. There's Lauren out in the chat. Entertainment Wizard, Wander This World. Joe Reese, Joe Bob Tar Heel, Robert Long, DJ. Let's see who else is with us tonight. Griffin. Yeah, thank you all for tuning in. It's a lot of fun. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, Cam. Thank you, Jay. Thank you, Mike. You guys have a great rest of your week, and we will see you again very, very soon. Peace.
Watch or be punished.